And hey, this is Daniel from the Blue Square.
And John from the Red Corner.
And today we're coming at you with more of my top 100 games of all time. This time it's number 80 through 71. If you haven't watched the other two, finish this one because it doesn't really matter in the order. We're just talking about games. And then go watch those two because they were pretty exciting because they were some of the best games out there.
Okay. See if you've heard of any of those games in his 91 to 100.
That's actually the true test. Hey, I like these top ones because these are the ones where the true hidden gems are, because it's like they're on my list because I played them. I have sentimentality towards them, but they may not be on other people's list. So that's why they're in 100 to 70.
Okay, so these would be included in that as well?
You think? I mean,
some
kind
of.
of.
A little obscure?
No, I think we're going to get more into the
hope.
Games that people have heard of.
Okay, good.
What are we talking about? Go back and watch and find out some of those obscure games. So, but without further ado, let's head to number 80.
Number 80.
All right, my number 80 is a very popular game.
Oh, good.
That everyone has heard of. Came out in 2017, so no Old Man Chris game.
Yeah.
This is Azul. Yes, Azul. It is a abstract tile laying game. There's factories in the center, and on your turn you pick a color from that factory, and then all the other colors move off the factory, hit to the middle. The color you pick go onto your board, and you need to make sure it goes into the 1 slot, the 2 slot, the 3 slot, the 4 slot, the 5 slot. And if you can't fit into the slot, it breaks on the floor and you get negative points. This game is exciting because it has something I want in games, and that is I know you're going to pick this, so I need to pick that so that this doesn't happen. It's getting inside your opponent's head, trying to figure out what they're going to do so that you can respond to it before they actually do it, or set them up for a failure of a move, or try not to set them up for a big moves. Those are what abstract games are, essentially, and I think Azul is one of the best ones out there. You're creating these patterns on your board and trying to make the best pattern, and you're given points for those patterns that you are made. Anyways, it's a clever game. You might ask about the other Azuls. Do you want to ask about the other Azuls?
What about the other Azuls?
Well, I don't like any of the other Azuls.
Really?
Yeah, well,
okay.
I shouldn't say I don't like them because I have only played the stained glass one, and it was fine. But the reason people like that one is it takes away what I like about regular Azul, and that is trying to figure out what your opponent does and pigeonholing them into taking a pick.
Gotcha.
And I like that about Azul. I want that in Azul. It's if you remove that from Azul, that's not what I want to play. So I actually got rid of stained glass because I was I'll never pick stained glass over Azul. And then I've never played the other two, so maybe
I have
the
good. Summer
Pavilion.
That's one which many people consider the best Azul out there. And you can still do that. You can see what people, what would help them that's out there. It's that's going to complete his whole star if he gets that. Because you're completing different patterns, but you're also trying to surround different things to get more tiles to either put in the middle or whatever. And so there's a little bit more to it than base Azul, but it might not be as obvious. It's harder to pigeonhole somebody, like you're saying, because they could pivot. They could say, okay, if you're doing that, I'm going to take this because it's wild next time. I'll keep them, and then there'll be wild ones for the And so, in a way, that's probably why people like it, because you don't feel frustrated when somebody does that to you. You're like, well, I'll plan better for next round, and I'll take this opportunity to do that. Because you can do that. You can kind of plan for the next round. So,
I want people to be frustrated when I play.
There we go. Yeah.
I don't want them to have any outs.
I'm usually frustrated any game I play with you, Daniel. So that's
true. That's true. How'd your Heat experience
go? It was frustrating.
All right. Well, that was Azul. My number 79 is a game that John will never, ever, ever play unless we are stranded on a desert island.
Oh, really?
That's right. And speaking of a desert island, we made a really cool top 10 desert island video. We collectively, the four of us, collectively put together a video and said, what would these games, and the catch on this gimmick we did was we each got 2 vetoes.
Yes.
So we had to agree on 10 games with 2 vetoes. It was a lot of fun. But this game made it on the list. A version of it, and John will never play it unless he is stranded, and that is 1846, 18XX. Now, but the date's on here, so that one came out in 2005.
Okay.
I think it's one of the original ones. I'm
not
not one of the
didn't they come
historians.
Didn't they come out in the late 90s?
I don't know. Okay. I'm not the 18XX historian like
Who
Chris
would that
is.
Be? Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Chris.
So, but this was the one I have played, the only one I have played. and it is fantastic. If you haven't got to play an 18xx game, just watch a video on how to play it. So you don't want to show up there and be taught how to play it, because it does take like an hour or two to like learn
just to learn it. Oh my gosh.
but if you watch one of the very methodical videos that explain it, it explains it very thoroughly, and the concepts aren't hard, much like a lot of these games. Once you go, oh, I get that, it makes sense. But anyways, it's largely a stock game. That's what all these train games are. If you're kind of wondering like, hey, why do people like train games? It's honestly, it's manipulating stock markets. That's what train games ultimately are. 1846 is you are making this path where you are operating a railroad company, but you invest in the railroad company. You don't ever actually own them. I mean, you kind of do. It's hard to explain exactly, but you're...
Take an hour.
Yeah, okay, let me explain it. Yeah, you're building these paths, and then if your railroad is doing really well, other people might want to invest in it. And there is a time where somebody can invest you, and they can kind of take it over
from you.
Exactly.
I believe they call it a hostile takeover.
They do, yeah. So 1846, I think it's considered like the entry-level one. So
really? Is that the one that made it on the island?
It is not. The one that
I won't be playing this on the island.
Okay. You'll be fine. The one on the island was the one that had 2 games in one box.
That sounds about
right. Yeah. So this one, if you are interested in the 18xx genre, it's too complex for me to explain it in this video. But 1846 is a great starting point. And again, it takes like 5 to 6 hours to play. So make a day of it. Make it an event, and you'll enjoy it, right, John?
If you're on an island.
If you're on... So my number 78 is a game that everyone has played, well, a version of that, and that is Codenames Duet. Yes. Okay. Codenames is a fun game. I enjoy it. I'll play it anytime it's on the table. But Duet holds a special place for me because it is a 2-player version of Codenames, and like a lot of the 2-player games that are not skirmish games on this list, I play it with my wife. Sarah and I love Codenames Duet because it brings out a lot of laughter.
Is there a hootin' and a hollerin'?
There's a hootin' and a hollerin', and there's a blamin' and a pointin'. It's really funny because you try to get into your partner's mindset.
Gotcha.
And sometimes my wife hates that because she's like, why do you think this way? And I'm like, why do you think so wrong? And I'm like, but I've been married for 10 years. You should know this by now. But what makes Codenames Duet different is that you each are giving out clues. So you're going to have a clue card that's 2-sided. And on your side, me and you are playing, on your side, it's going to say that this one, and this one are assassins. If I guess those words, we lose. But on my side, I have 3 different assassins. But the catch is, John, you have 1 unique assassin from me. We have a shared assassin.
I gotcha.
And then we have, what's the other one? We have a shared assassin, a unique assassin. Oh, and then an assassin that's like a bystander for you. So like, or no, it's one of your clues. That's what it is. So like one of your clues is like, I don't know, we'll just say squirrel. Squirrel. Oh. Yeah. It's squirrel. And then, but that assassin that's an assassin for me. So John says nuts too. And I'm like, oh, that's my assassin, but it's clearly not his.
That does sound like a clue you would give.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, I don't know. It works really well. It also is technically compatible with all the other code names. So, like, if you wanted to do code names like Disney or Marvel or Harry Potter or pictures, you can use the clue and just use those sets. Clues. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, I actually, if anybody out there wants to play Marvel Codenames Duet with me, hit me up because it's like a cool like one-on-one strategy, and it's cooperative. Not strategy, but trivia.
Yeah.
I always say Codenames is a trivia game.
It pretty much is when you put a theme to it.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So.
And I believe it won the prestigious Spiel des Jahres, did it not?
I think it did. And, I put when Duel came out, but not when Codenames came out. So Codenames Duet came out in 2017.
Yeah.
So regular Duet regular Codenames came out probably in 2015. So that means it won the Spiel des Jahres last year.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, okay. Probably.
Number 77 is a game that's very similar to 1846.
Oh, really?
But instead of 6 hours, it plays in 45 minutes.
Nice.
So maybe this is a game that we can get you to play.
Maybe. So I may have already played it. We'll see.
Yeah. So this is this game. The one I'm talking about is called Iberian Gauge. They are from Winsome Games. You
win some, you lose some.
Exactly. And it was packaged or redistributed by Capstone. But these are games that are usually called cube rail games. So they're essentially 1846, but they take one portion of the 1846 game and they kind of gamify just that. So Iberian Gauge happens to be investments.
Yes, I have played this one.
Yep. Yeah, so you get you do build rails. So essentially, every time you build a rail, you I think invest on that stock as well. Oh no, that's not what it is. You choose to invest in the stock, or you choose to build in the rail. The more the rail comes out, the more dividends pay out, but then the more people who own it, the dividends get smaller. So if like 3 people are already invested in one, maybe it's not really beneficial for me to invest in it. But if John is invested in like 3 investments in it and there's 2 left open, somebody needs to grab him, or else John's going to have 5, and then it gets really powerful. But then nobody helps him with that train, and he actually...
So then it makes it harder to...
Yeah, and they can even derail the train, because anybody can place the trains. Maybe you have to be invested in it. These games are all very similar, so sorry if I don't know the details of each one, but this one largely has to do with the
stocks
stock
and the investing, and
which is the best part of the 1846.
Well, there you go. So don't even have to play 1846.
I mean,
you can play this. It's rated higher anyway, so...
That's true. I would play this over 1846. It's legitimate, largely because of 1846 playtime.
Yeah.
I do like these coin rail games. I've played 3 of them, and there's one more on this list. You'll have to wait to find out which one, but I did like it better. My number 76 game has recently went through a reprint that I think did it no favors whatsoever, and that is Libertalia. But do not bring
this is the
OG. I was not a fan of the new one. What was the new one called?
Winds of Galecrest. Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. Beautiful game.
That is actually the game that made me want to do the topic of don't play the easy version of games. If you happen to end up with the Stonemeyer version of that game, it's fine. I recommend it, actually. But don't play the family version. It ruins the game. It's not as cutthroat and as intense. And actually, that's the whole problem with the new one. It's not as cutthroat. The original. But I'm going to talk about the original because that's the one I actually like. What you're going to do is you're going to draft. You're not drafting, actually. Everybody is going to have the same... I think it's 9 cards. And you're going to end up playing 6 of these cards throughout the turn. So that means I will end with 3 different cards than John, likely.
Should.
And then we will pick 6 more. So now we have 9 cards. Hypothetically, all of these cards we've all had before.
Yeah.
Though my 9 might be slightly different than John's 9 on the next week. And then we do this again one more time. So by the end of the 3rd week, you have variations of cards that everybody else had. And what's really cool about this is a game where you have to get inside your opponent's head. This is a game that says, I know you've already played your Sea Witch, who when one person plays the Sea Witch, they... only one can be out. So if 2 people play it, it's dead.
Yeah, they both kill each other.
So it's like staring down John. Like, is this the time he plays it?
There's only 2 cards left this round. Is he going to play it?
Yeah, and then if you play it, you get to benefit from it until somebody else knocks it out. But then that's just them wasting their turn just to knock yours out. But it's worth it. There's also ones where it's like the guy kills the highest valued one on the ship. So when we all put one face down, you flip it over. And if you played the highest number, your guy just dies and he's knocked out. But we all have that card, so we all know it's there. And what usually happens is everybody plays the card at the exact same time, and it's just a shank fight on the.
It's like 6 gets killed.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end, there's like the mop boy's like, "Woo, I win!"
Yeah, exactly.
So each character's like 30 different characters. They all have different unique powers, but what makes this a little bit different is that everybody has it. So you never have something. Well, that's unfair that you have that guy. He's so powerful.
Yep.
It's just about who
there's no
played
luck
it
of the draw. Best. There's no any of that stuff. So I do like it. I'm going to save my comments about Winds of Galecrest.
Why?
Because it might appear on some other list.
Okay.
So, but I do enjoy Libertalia. And if you want the gritty, grimy, true pirate feel of the game, this offers that in spades and does it a lot better than Winds of Galecrest, which is more of a cartoony fantasy kind of a game. So.
Family friendly.
Family friendly. That's what it is.
Don't play the family friendly version.
It is family friendly.
Unless you're playing with a 5-year-old. Yeah. Don't play with the family friendly version. It's not family friendly. It's simplified, stupefied, and just don't do it. 75 is a roll and write, or a
verb and verb.
That's right. And it's probably one of the two that I enjoy. So this one's obviously on the lower in the list. There'll be one higher, but this one is Welcome to.
Oh, okay.
So I don't enjoy the traditional roll and writes. I don't know why. They don't really resonate with me. We'll talk about Fox Experiment here in a upcoming episode.
Yes, we will.
And this has
it's roll and write. It's a little bit of verb in there.
Yeah. There's a roll and write feel to this game, and it will reflect in my review. So roll and writes are fine. They're fine. But for whatever reason, Welcome to, manipulating the numbers when you flip the cards, it just feels better for me. I like the fact that, like, I don't know, something about your strategy relying on dice rolls always makes me feel bad in
Whereas
a
this
game.
One's flip and fill, really, instead of roll and write.
So it feels like I have a little bit more control. But let me explain it real quick. So you have 3 little piles there. You're going to flip these 3 piles, and you're going to have a number, and you're going to have a symbol. And you got to put that number on your houses, and the houses can go from 1 to 15, but it has to go in ascending order. So if you go from 3 and then your next house is 6, you're never going to put a 4 or 5 in there. It has to be more so. It has to be higher than a 6. So you're trying to then also like build fences, drawing little pools, and there's just a lot of little puzzly stuff in here. And this also has like a tiny towns effect to it as well, where sometimes you're like, I'm trying to accomplish this thing over here, but I didn't get the one I want, so I'm gonna instead use that thing I didn't want and put it down here and try to accomplish something else. And now you have like 2 things you're tracking.
Yes.
Like in this neighborhood I want this, this neighborhood I want that, and you're as those cards flip, and then you get 3 choices. So you got a lot of control about where you ultimately want to put it at. So this is a verb and verb. I think this one, so like a lot of the roll and writes were coming out, and I think Welcome to is the first one that was probably considered
that was really hot anyway. That really took over.
That wasn't dice based, because that was that Von
too.
Sean clever game, which whatever. But this was the one that where people were like, oh, we can't call it a roll and write because there's no dice. What is it called? And we said verb and verb. So we're
still waiting for that to catch on.
Yeah, one day.
But yes, Welcome to, amazing game, and for all the reasons you said. And yes, I love how you have that decision when you flip them all over. It's like, well, the easy one to take is the 15. Because I can just stick it on the end of any of my rows. I always take the 15.
Yeah.
But the 15 comes with the pool. I can't use the pool.
Yeah.
I really need a pool over here. And that one comes with a pool. But it's a 10. I'm going to put the 10 there. I'm going to need everything exactly in order after that 10.
Yeah.
If I don't get... So, I love those choices.
1 through
where you're
9
like,
and the 10.
I can take the 15, just forget the pool, and be safe, or I can go for gusto and just... So it's that. It seems like almost every flip. That's the thing. It's
exactly.
Like, there's the safe choice. Very rarely is it like, hey, the 4th one over... is a 4 with a pool. Okay, I'll take that. And I already have 1 through 3. Perfect.
But even if it is the 4th one over,
that's what I'm saying. You'd have to have 1 through 3 already.
That's still like iffy, because
that's what I'm saying. I already have 1 through 3. Great.
Oh well, if you already have 1 through 3, but who has that?
That doesn't happen very often. Yeah.
So it's a fun game. I highly recommend it, and that's Welcome to. My next one is New Hotness.
Oh, nice.
Well, kind of.
Oh.
It originally came out in 2008, but it was recreated just this year in 2024. Our friend Ryan Evans, he backed it on Kickstarter, and we got to play it, and it reminded me how good this game is, and that is Skyrise. I forget what the original...
Really?
Yes.
The original one was called something else.
Metropolis, maybe?
That's right. I did hear that.
So in Skyrise, the new edition is just a beautiful production.
Well, his is. Well, you get the deluxe. It's really nice.
Yeah, but see, even the non-deluxe is really cool.
The buildings aren't as cool.
Yeah, so the deluxe edition comes with this fat plastic board that looks awesome. Like it's flying, and all the buildings are unique.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Fine.
But the original one,
amazing.
No, the big plastic board is not necessary. The buildings
cool,
are great, but the meeple buildings, I like meeple buildings. So they have meeple buildings in the regular edition.
You have the others. I would just be like,
Yeah, well, whatever. Regardless. So what's really cool about this game is it's an auction game. So everybody has like 15 buildings to choose from, and they're all different, numbered differently. So my 15 are different
every one
than
is
his.
unique. Yep.
Yeah, so what happens is someone says, I want this area. So they put one of their buildings that could be number 50 on the board. Well, now the next person says, I'm going to use my 60, and I'm going to put it right next to there. So now the spot that I started off with is never going to be claimed this round. So John puts his 60 right next to mine. Now that 60 could be claimed.
Yeah.
But I have a 75, and now I put the 75 right next to what John just played, and everybody else passes. I get that spot where the 75 was played, not where the 50 was played.
Correct.
So there's a lot of that, like, I really want this spot over here, so I can't just play there because I won't get it. If I play there, I'm not going to get it. I mean, sometimes you can.
Sometimes you can.
And that is a little fun because you can also, like, corner an area off, and it's like, oh, I just won this bid, and now there's a hole right here, and I'm going to take that one with a 2.
Yeah.
And nobody can do anything about it because there's nothing adjacent to place it next to. So Skyrise, very simple. Yeah, it's just very simple. Like, that is the game.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's essentially this auction game and area control. It's a good mix.
I played this once, and it almost made my top 50.
Oh, nice.
Just by playing it once.
Okay.
That tells you how much I liked it.
Yes.
So, and I didn't even play very well because it's one of those games where it's when I play a brand new game.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to win it usually. I'm
Sure.
trying to understand some of the complexities, and didn't realize. Oh, wait a minute! When I load up my board with these things that help me score, I have to be in that color of a space. I just thought it was set collection, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I have to actually be in those.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna go for different things.
Yeah.
So it was about halfway through the game before I really knew how to score. But the whole just the auction mechanism in it is something like I've never played with before. Because I never played the original game. The original game does that too. But.
You're right. It is unique. What else does that? What else does an area
think of one
control
like that.
auction? Like,
I mean, that works that way too. It's so weird because the buildings are going to score different ways too. Necessarily, if you have the bigger building, you want the bigger building majority. So you're like, do I want to pull out the big gun here because I'm not going to get the majority, but I really want this spot. So it's like, there's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, it's a clever little game, and that's Skyrise. Check it out. Even if you don't get the deluxe edition, it's fine. All right, speaking of deluxe editions, actually, this is not. Again, the deluxe edition is not needed. It just comes with 2 player mats that fit in the box, which is amazing. And the box is only that big. It's like that big. It's called Radlands. That's right. It's a 2-player card game that I love 2-player card games, right? But what's really cool about this one is it's not collectible, so huzzah.
Yeah.
But the deck that you are manipulating is a shared deck. So I'm gonna draw like 3 cards to start my game off with these 3 cards, and John's gonna draw from that same deck. So again, I don't have better cards than John. It's just what did you draw?
Yeah.
But the goal of this game is you have 3 bases, and you are trying to kill your opponent's base. You use your people to kind of guard those bases. You also have this event timer. So if you have a 2 event, you put it on the 2 spot, and then every time it's your turn, it goes up 1 until it resolves. And that can be anything. It could like clear a board. It could attack one of the bases by jumping over, the 2 people you have protecting it. The cards are multi-use. You draw from the deck. You can either play them as what they are with their special ability, or you can discard them and they all have a special ability when discarded, or you can put them face down where there are punks and they're just 1 hit points, but they are just cannon fodder essentially. But there's cards that can manipulate those punks, make them turn over, essentially upgrading them. Just really exciting game. Always close. I never had any game that has just been a complete slaughter. So the game is very balanced, and it's because you're all using that same deck.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Have you got to play that one yet?
I have not, and this is one of those ones that was really hot when it came out on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody was talking about it, and everybody loved it, but you didn't see it after that.
Well, because 2-player games are
maybe
like
that's what it is. 2-player game, and it's the card battle kind of game. Because other 2-player games kind of stick around, but like Seven Wonders Duel, you hear about that all the time.
Sure.
But this type of game kind of seems to get lost.
I don't know. I think Radlands appears on a lot of people's.
Oh, I'm saying people that play it
list.
like it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's I've never heard anything really bad about it.
If you're a
so
card game
something
player,
I should probably try, but I've not tried it. It's not usually my genre.
Sure, exactly. But if this is your genre, it's a must play. You will like Radlands. Number 72 is a classic from 2008. It is a genre-defining game. What is it? Genre-defining. First of its kind. 2008. Deck Builder.
Oh, did it? Oh. No. Dominion? No way. For real?
That's right. I know. Maybe I should have
I
brought.
didn't think that would be on your list.
It is on my list, and I probably should have brought this one to the Desert Island.
It might have made it
legendary because it might have made it. But why Dominion is on this list still after all of these years is I am one of those people who firmly believe that Dominion is one of the cleanest deck building games that you can get, and it shines for it. It's not one that I will think about playing all the time, but whenever you play it, John, you will enjoy it. I guarantee you will have a fun time. Have you played Dominion before?
Oh yeah, many times.
Good. Yeah. Do you still like it?
It's okay.
It's okay. When was the last time you played it?
It's probably been 3 years.
See, 3 years.
Yeah.
I bet you if we played it right now, you would go, okay, maybe it does deserve to be on my 50.
Maybe I would.
Because it's just that kind of game. It's like, it's easy to forget because of the simplicity of it, but when you play it, you're like, gosh darn it, that was a good time. And that's what we want in our games. We want a gosh darn good time.
Okay.
But in case you don't know what Dominion is, it's deck building. It invented the deck building.
I think the last time I played it, I was just kind of playing it passively and was there facilitating the game, as you said.
Oh, well, sure.
And then... it's kind of funny. They're doing the scores at the end, like, and everybody's, "Oh, I think I won." Like, wait a minute, I didn't do mine yet. 9 points.
9 points.
Can anybody beat that? I was just getting the fun cards that were fun to get and play.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna get the ones that are fun to play, and so I just did that.
I mean, you can play that way, and that is.
It's
fun,
a fairly quick game
to win.
It's not like you're gonna be sitting there for 3 hours.
It can be.
I've never played a long game of Dominion.
Well, you've never played a 6-player game.
It probably depends
Dominion
on
with a bunch of people who don't know how to play.
Probably depends on what cards you have in there too.
Yeah. So it's just a classic deck builder. You have 10 piles of cards. You spend your money to buy the cards you want. They get shuffled. They go into your discard pile.
Right in your discard. Classic. Everything's
once
by the numbers.
That's right. When you run out of cards in your draw pile, you shuffle your discard pile and you draw new cards and you keep going. Your goal is to buy those victory points in the middle of the table, but the victory points often don't do anything. So when you draw them into your hand, it's just a dead card. So the fun part about Dominion is that pivot when you go from building your engine of cards to getting victory points. Apparently, John just goes with the engine the entire time.
The engine's so much fun. But it's funny. I was just saying, it follows the straightforward lines of a deck builder. The reason why it does that is it established the straightforward lines of a deck builder. So of course it does
exactly.
So that's what we come to define as a deck builder.
That's right. And I think Dominion deserves all the respect it gets, and probably even more so, because I think there's a lot of people...
I'd acknowledge that.
Yeah, and I think people put it in the Catan and Carcassonne camp, where it's like, I played this so much time when I got into the hobby, I hate this game now. It's like, but it still holds up to this day. There are still games that are being built around this mechanic that you love, so why would you hate on this game? This game is exciting.
I'll agree.
Yep, so... Though I do have a good story about it. I played it with Brendan, and I was like, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, you're building a like your Dominion, your city. So you just build a card and you play the cards to buy cards." And he's like, "But why?" And I was like, "Well, because you're just buying more buildings." He's like, "But why? What am I actually doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. You're building cards." And he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like. So we haven't played that game ever since. This was like when he was like 7. Yeah. He was like so offended by the nothing theme of this game. All right. How has my list been so far as games that people know?
It's getting better.
It's getting better. Okay. Well, I'm gonna throw the reverse on that. But you'll be glad to know it's not Marvel or Star Trek. But it is an IP. Okay. It is a French comic IP game called Corto. Guys, I'm telling you, this game is so cool. I stumbled upon this game.
How do you spell that?
Corto. I think that's correct. Cool. It's on the rundown.
Okay.
All right. In post.
I gotcha.
So Corto, I discovered it by seeing a review from Tom Vassell in 2013.
Bragger.
And I know, right? And I was like, this game looks, I didn't even care how it played. It looked so cool. I love the aesthetic of it. It looks like, sketchy comic book stuff. Me and my comic book love. So I was like, I gotta get this game. And I played it and I was like, this game is so unique and cool.
Really?
It is an area control game, but it consists of 4 to 5 different boards, okay? But the boards are just literally strips like this big. Each board has different rules. All right, so the game comes with like 7 boards, but you use 4 of them, so you can kind of mix and match, which creates new rules for this area control. And every time you, essentially, you're going to have this hand of cards, and they're like square cards, and you place them on the board. They have a white border or a black border. A black border is an assassin border, and it can shoot somebody else that's adjacent to them. A white border is a control border, or an influence border, and that means you could put influence on somebody next to you. So it's area control. So I place this card, and I put a white card, and I put my influence on it right there. And then I place another white card, and I put my influence on it right there. So now I have 2 influence on this guy. Well, if John wants to get rid of that guy, he has to now remove 2 of my influences. So he does 2 blacks, and that removes the influence. Now that guy had influence, and now he doesn't. He's dead. He's gone. So now that spot is open, and now maybe John gets to play in that spot.
Gotcha.
And then he influences and all that good stuff. So, but the boards having the different abilities is what's so cool about it. Like there's one that's like a train heist. So like there's this train coming across, and every time you play a card next to the train, you get a victory point. So like you're like chasing the train.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then there's oh man, I'm sorry. There's other ones I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of different fun little mini games within this board as well.
Okay, cool.
So, Corto, it's worth.
Sounds a lot like a game that's on my list, which is not that game. So
okay, I'm tempted. When are we going to hear from your list?
When we get to 50.
Ah, okay. So because you've played at least 50 games.
I've played at least 50.
Okay,
there was a little more than 50 that almost made the list. So there you go.
So John had to make cuts.
I did.
So yeah, so stick around, and when we get to 50, you'll get both of them.
There you go.
So
Bonus.
I wonder how many crossovers we'll have.
I doubt we'll have many. We'll see.
All right. Well, that was the last one of this list. Stick around for our next one. Number, what is that? 70 through 61. And then before you know it, we'll be in the top 50 where John's doing this as well. But yeah, let me know. Follow along with us. Let me know what your number 70 through or 80 through 71 is. If you know off the top of your head. And have you played Corto? You know, I always end these with the last game. I say I should do this like after every one, but I don't know. Have you played Corto? Did you like it? Do you know what Corto is?
Never heard of it.
All right, well, that's it for today. Until next time, guys, we'll see you around the board.